So we have finally made it to the other end of a brand new Pikmin game, and I gotta be honest, this is the first time that I'm actually playing the series. I feel like my experience is pretty similar to a lot of people out there. Obviously, Pikmin hasn't been as massive of a seller for Nintendo as something like Mario or Zelda has. So from what I understand, there's a lot of people who have just kind of been watching from the sidelines for the last decade as fans await a new numbered entry in the franchise. And I will say that I've seen a huge push online, especially places like Twitter, where fans are coming out in droves, hyping up this game, telling people, hey, check out Pikmin 4, play the demo, buy this game, it's really good. And they're really just trying to put Pikmin 4 in the best position it can be to sell well. Obviously, this series has had a cult following throughout the years, and Miyamoto himself has even come out recently and talked about how much he still loves Pikmin, which makes a lot of sense because he considers this franchise his baby, akin to how he looks at something like Mario even. But in lieu of all this hype, I decided, what a great time to get into the Pikmin series. Technically, my first outing was the demo that they released. I didn't play too much of it though. I got far enough to get the general concept of the game, and then I backed away a little. I kind of realized that whatever the full game had to offer, I was really going to enjoy. So I decided to wait, and then I picked up the game on Friday, and I've been playing it throughout the weekend a little bit. So consider this a kind of review impressions from someone who's never played Pikmin before. I'm about 8 or 9 hours into the game so far, and the gameplay I've got in the background is very early footage, so don't worry about getting anything spoiled. As someone new to the series, I had absolutely no knowledge of what to expect from this game. I knew you pull Pikmin out of the ground and get them to carry things around for you, and that's about it. So I don't know what's new, what's old. I'm not really aware of what's considered a quality of life improvement as far as stuff like that goes. So bear with me on that front. I don't have all the context that someone who's a longtime fan would. So when the game starts, we get some nice exposition from Olimar himself, that guy from the Smash Brothers games, really just giving us his backstory on where he's at and how he discovered the Pikmin. Then we're put into Olimar's shoes as he lands in a house with a bunch of Pikmin and this dog-like creature. And here we get a pretty simple tutorial that explains a lot of the mechanics as far as rounding up Pikmin, throwing them at things, and utilizing some of the abilities that this dog thing has. And it's not here where you really see the game shine, but definitely much later. So when your time with Olimar's over, you get to create your own playable character, and it's very simple character creator, but you get to name them, and they're part of this rescue corps who's been sent here to this planet to rescue Captain Olimar. After some introductions and a lot of text, we finally get into the mechanics a little bit, and then after some more talking, we're thrown into the first level and are given free reign for the most part. So my biggest complaint is right here at the beginning, and there's just so much exposition, so much hand holding, and so much text to read. And this is coming from me who really enjoys games like Persona, where that kind of thing is just part of the whole experience. And I found myself just wanting to jump in and go for it without having to have everything explained to me by supporting characters that I really just didn't care to get to know at the time. But as I moved forward, this aspect did get a little better. The supporting characters have a little charm, but I'm not a huge fan of them in general. The gameplay loop is really what pushed me through because man, is it fun. I completely understand why so many people love these games now, and I can't believe I never tried it before. Obviously, we're an explorer on an alien planet who utilizes these creatures called Pikmin to do our bidding for us. And by bidding, I mean carrying treasures back to our ship, defeating enemies, destroying obstacles in our way, or even building structures to help us progress through the levels. Like I said, I had no idea what to expect with this game. I always thought Pikmin was really linear, like you just travel and defeat enemies with your Pikmin on your way to your destination, but these levels are pretty much an open area for you to explore in any way you want with some obstacles in your way, mostly preventing you from going anywhere right at the beginning. You might need a certain type of Pikmin or something else to progress into one corner of the level to get treasure or go to a different area. Think kind of like the levels in Pokemon Legends Arceus. That's really the only thing I know to compare it to. There's definitely a lot of strategy involved in the way you command your Pikmin and Ochi, your dog. The game calls this type of strategy Dandori, which is a practice of organizing and planning out your tasks so that you can complete them efficiently, which is something you've got to do to be successful in this game. And personally, I haven't ran into anything too difficult yet in my playthrough, but I can tell that as I progress, when things get a little more difficult, I'm gonna need to get better at Dandori because I can see the difficulty slowly rising in front of me as far as different things I've got to micromanage. I definitely get a kick out of micromanaging successfully. There's a huge dose of serotonin when I've got my red Pikmin over here carrying some treasure, my yellow Pikmin are destroying this electric gate, and my rock Pikmin are over here fighting these creatures and everything's going on at the same time. And on the flip side, I definitely get a little upset when I've just got a few Pikmin standing around not doing anything. I feel like I could be doing more. Or maybe if I clear out a level and I notice that I've missed one thing, and it's pretty easy to just go back and grab that one thing. There's definitely a part of me that wishes I would have grabbed it and put it in my list of things to micromanage and did things more efficiently. I feel like it's really hard to explain, but the only other game I know to compare it to is the Papa's Pizzeria games, and even then it's completely different. One part of the game I thought was a really nice surprise were these caves, which are introduced early on, but they're essentially little dungeons to go through, and time doesn't pass here like it normally would on the surface. So I like being able to take my time and explore every nook and cranny. There's a ton of treasure down here and even some bosses. Some of these caves that would normally lead to a dungeon actually host what's called a Dondery battle. Essentially a challenge where you're going head to head with an AI to see who can grab the most treasure more efficiently, or it puts you against a time limit to see how much you can grab yourself. I'm sure there's other variants, but these are the ones that I've come across so far. I enjoy these a lot though, they're a lot of fun. And I do gotta mention the art style. This game is so pretty and insanely detailed. I love the fact that there's so many everyday objects that tower over your player because you're just so small in comparison. I always wanted a game where you play as someone really small and have this kind of perspective on the world. I also love the Pikmin themselves too. They just have so much personality no matter what they're doing, whether it just be standing around or even drowning in the water. Sometimes when I've got them riding on Ochi, they'll just start singing for a minute. It's really cute. This just adds to the desire to want to keep them alive. I always feel really bad if I even let one of them die. There's just something so heartbreaking about watching that little ghost fly up from their bodies. At one point I fought this boss who would roll across the ground like a rolling pin, and because I don't know what I'm doing, I was just throwing my red Pikmin at it when I should have been throwing my rock Pikmin who can't be crushed by something like that. So I essentially just lost all of my regular Pikmin to that boss, and it was devastating. I was distraught for a minute. I don't know if I've ever played any kind of strategy game where I've been this invested in my units and felt such a connection to them. I feel like this gameplay formula is really something special, and I'm definitely part of the camp now that will be pushing for more people to play this series, which is now easier than ever for people to experience. I think as of right now, every single number Pikmin is on the Switch, so anyone can play all of them. I don't think I could make a very long video analyzing this game, but so far I'm really enjoying it a lot more than I thought I would. I'll probably go back to the original on GameCube when I'm done with this, and just to see how far the series has come, but I went into it not knowing what to expect, and I'm coming out of it a huge fan. If you're like me and you've never played Pikmin before, I strongly recommend you at least try out the demo that's on Switch. It's free, of course, and you can carry your progress over if you decide to buy the full game. I'm sure there's so much in the later half of the game that I have not come across yet and won't get to cover in this video, but please let me know in the comments where you stand as far as Pikmin goes. Are you kind of in the same camp as me who's never really played it before, or have you been playing it your entire life? If you are a huge fan, please let me know if I butchered the concept completely. Do you look at this game a little different? Are there some key aspects that I missed? Anyways, I appreciate you for watching, making it to the end of this video. Hope you have a good one, and I'll see you next time.